I want to ask one more question. The producer sent me a question. It's a bit more graphic than other questions, but it's relevant to a previous interview I was doing. I've done 2 interviews with a forensic expert, Dr. G. And so obviously you can choose to answer it or not. But the reason I'm asking it is in the autopsy, they talk about, the autopsy, they're meant to talk about every single detail in his body. And they describe his penis as a normal circumcised penis. But in the deposition, they read out to him that one of the girls claimed he had a deformed egg-shaped penis. Now, the reason that the forensic expert brought that up in our interview, he said, Mario, that's very bizarre. Some people are talking whether that's actually Epstein's body, whether he's still alive, or that was someone else. There's multiple red flags about how he died, and the decoy body that was moved out, the way he was killed. The picture showed an ear that looked different than Epstein's actual ear. There's all these unanswered questions. And this was one of them. And I'm not sure if you can answer that or not, but did he have a deformed penis in any way, or was it a normal penis? Sorry for being very descriptive, but just I'm really curious to see if he does have a deformed penis, like they said in the deposition, that means there's a big unanswered question. There's a false piece of information in the autopsy report that came out.
Well, I've seen the tattoo photos from the files. I don't remember Jeffrey having a tattoo, but this is back in the early 2000s. He could have, eventually, had a tattoo artist, give him a tattoo, draw a tattoo, whatever in his body. I don't even know what it's called. I don't have tattoos. And he was very much against tattoos. I told him one day that I wanted to get a tattoo on my back, and he scolded me and said, "You are not allowed. I don't give you permission to put that on your body." Like, he was very just controlling with what he told the girls they should do to their bodies. I have studied all of those autopsy photographs. I've studied the photographs of the cell. I think there are way too many sheets. I don't think there's any way that someone can hang themselves in that manner, and it would have been a sloppy job. I thought for a while that wasn't him until I studied photographs of his teeth, because teeth are very hard to fake, especially molars and cavities and fillings. But now, after what you had just mentioned, I don't believe that would have been him on the autopsy table. I recently gave an interview with Tina Brown, who is the former editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair magazine. She also was the editor-in-chief of Daily Beast. I think she launched Daily Beast, and I believe the Tatler magazine and the New Yorker. So she is a very, I would say, incredible writer. And she's also mentioned in the Epstein files, but in a good way. Like, he hated her because she was probing into him. And she wrote, based off of my conversation with her, she said he had Kallman's syndrome, which means that a man is underdeveloped. Like, from adolescent moving forward, your genitalia does not fully develop. So you have like this childhood size genitalia, and I would agree that's what he had.
Okay, and that's Tina Brown found that out from her research as well, speaking to
Well, I don't
other
know if she
people.
spoke to the other survivors. I spoke to her because I remember what it looked like. Like I said, I paint portraits of people, and I have pretty good photographic memory of things. I don't remember every single detail, but that's something that I do remember. And he was very small. Um, I don't really want to get too into it because
Of
I
course, no,
having
you've given more than enough.
but
Yeah, you've given. Sorry,
she
thank you
did
for the
call,
information, brother. I
oh,
apologize.
you're welcome. She did call it, there's an actual medical term for it. It's called Kallman's syndrome. And
Oh,
then she also wrote that Hitler also had the same syndrome, which is very strange. And that's information that was new for me. And you
mm,
could, look up and do some research and get more into what it means to have that. So all this time I did believe that he had passed away, and that that was him on the autopsy table. But they are photographs and not videos. We actually need to see a video of him not breathing, because anyone can take a picture. That could, they could have, they're still photographs. he has his eyes closed. They could have been taken anywhere. Like you can replicate the room. If you have the money or you have the connections or resources, you could rent a room like that looks like a autopsy room and have photographs taken. They could have been taken long before he was arrested or after he escaped. I'm not sure, but now that I'm seeing the Ghislaine Maxwell, video from last Monday, I am starting to doubt that. Well, I doubt that's her. That's pretty obvious. That is not Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm starting to doubt that he died. He may be alive.
This is another bizarre, unanswered question. There's a whole bunch of them. It take me at least 5-10 minutes to go through them briefly. But there's one here that there's a post on 4chan, which is like an unmonitored Reddit type platform. Nothing's filtered there, and anyone can post anything. And there's a post that was someone saying they claim to be a prison guard, and the post said that Epstein was wheeled out, shackled in a wheelchair the night before he was found dead, and also an unauthorized trip van arrived without logging in, with a person inside wearing an army uniform. Now that post was dismissed, but recently we found out that the person that made the post was actually Robert Grijalva, who was a prison guard at the time, who's made that post a day after Epstein was found dead. And the reason I mentioned that is you talked about how that image could be. There's multiple ways of having Epstein on an autopsy table and with his eyes closed. They could drug him and take that photo. There's many ways to fake those photos. We don't have enough material to prove it's actually Epstein. And based on what you're saying right now, moving away from the genitalia, you said that, for example, his ear looked different and he didn't have a tattoo. You never saw a tattoo on him. And later on, he hated tattoos. Later on, there's a tattoo in his autopsy report. And seeing Maxwell as well in the video of her and how different she looked, that what was considered once a conspiracy theory that Epstein may still be alive is at least worth considering now. It's becoming more and more plausible. So yeah, I don't disagree. And the more time passes, the more things that we consider conspiracy theories are either becoming true, being confirmed, or at least becoming more and more possible as we get more questions rather than answers as the files continue getting released.